The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. When Judas had left them, Jesus said, "Now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and God will glorify him at once. My children, I will be with you only a little while longer. I give you a new commandment. Love one another. As I have loved you, so you also should love one another. This is how all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." The Gospel of the Lord. Let's call today's Gospel Discipleship of Jesus Made Simple. Not made easy, made simple. See, it's kind of like at the wedding at Cana. Real simple. Do whatever he tells you. That's what Mary said to the people at the wedding. And he did his miracle, his first sign. It's simple. Follow him. But we all want to try and make it easy. Like I remember there was somebody once came up to me and said, "Father Mike, Jesus just wants us to be nice to each other, right?" I was like, wrong. Nice is like one of the most vanilla words in the world, okay? Nice is, it just doesn't work. It's not enough. We'll get back to that. I heard once a bishop at confirmation talking to the confirmation candidates and saying, well, it's simple like this. All you got to remember is WWJD. What would Jesus do? I wanted to stand up and say, "Bishop, you are so wrong," but I couldn't because I get in trouble. But the thing is, think about this. What would Jesus do doesn't do it. It doesn't cut it because Jesus has experienced the things that we experience. So we can't, it won't work in all of our world. Think about it. Jesus never had to deal with cyberbullying, internet pornography. So he would never, what would he do with it? Jesus never had to deal with mass shootings in schools. What would he do? We don't know. So what do? We say, what did Jesus do? And what is Jesus telling me to do? It's that simple. And that brings us to the gospel today. What did Jesus give us? Well, first of all, the gospel today is, we're in the Easter season, but the gospel today is in the context of the Last Supper. He hasn't suffered yet. Okay? Judas just left, and Jesus knows where he's going. He says, "I give you a new commandment." He didn't say, "I got a good idea." He didn't say, "It would be nice if you did this." He says, "I give you a commandment. Love one another." Now, moms and dads, let's just look at that love thing, all right? If you have ever been up all night with a sick child, if you have ever waited in the waiting room, in the emergency room, while your child is being treated, if you have ever done laundry, changed a diaper, made supper, driven them all over the place, done all these different things, waited up for them because they stayed out too late, all that stuff, and maybe some of it all in 1 week, you know that loving is not easy. It's work. It's not nice, being nice to each other. It's work. It's involved. But you also know that it's worth it because love has its rewards. So, again, nice is kind of like so vanilla, but love one another is like a huge buffet of joy and pain. And you gotta have some of both because it hurts to love sometimes. And if you think about it, let's go to how Jesus loved us. Love one another, because he also didn't just say love one another. He says, "As I have loved you, love one another." So, he loved us to death, to the cross. And think about it. That death was not just physical death. It had to be spiritual and emotional. Here he is, beaten, carrying the cross, being nailed to the cross, and knowing that one of his best friends is the one who turned him in. And almost all of the rest of his best friends are gone. Do you think maybe he felt like, was it worth it? But he's going to continue to do God's will because that's what love does. So, this reading is from Holy Thursday, from the Last Supper. We're in the Easter season. Let's move from Holy Thursday to Good Friday. On Good Friday, we take that cross. We bring it up the center aisle. And we hold it up in 3 different places. And we sing, behold, behold, the wood of the cross, on which is hung our salvation. Oh, come, let us adore. Maybe we should sing, oh, come, let us learn. Because we're learning about his love in what he's doing, giving himself to us completely. That's what his love is about. Think about it. All right, so he's rejected, he's turned in by a friend, he's tortured. You know, any one of us living in love are going to have times when somebody's going to take advantage of us because they don't get it. But you know what? We do it anyway. Partly because we're trying to follow him, partly because it is worth it. It is its own reward. But we take that course and we come here and we do exactly what I just said. But then on Holy Saturday night, as Easter is beginning, we come into a darkened church. Dark because it's the tomb. And then the Paschal candle, newly blessed, newly lit, comes into the church as basically the only light in the church. And it's held up in the exact same place as the cross was held up. And we sing, Light of Christ, thanks be to God. And that light is then passed to each one of us. Well, as it's passed to each one of us, really what's happening is we are being given that commandment. Carry this light. Love one another as I have loved you. But my love conquers death. Coming in here and holding up that cross in those 3 places, the same places as the cross, holding up the candle, is saying, every place that the cross touched in our lives, resurrection follows because of the power of God's love. And we're called to live that same love. It's not a suggestion, it's a commandment. Love one another as I have loved you. Look what his love does. It turns water to wine. It makes paralyzed people walk, the blind see. And it touches our hearts. And it conquers death. And so we're called to live that same kind of love. You know, it's interesting that it was during Easter week, at a funeral, we have people at the Ministry of Consolation who meet with the family. They ask them questions about their beloved person who had died, and that helps make the homily a little bit more personal. Well, this family spoke to their mother. There's 4 children, 4 adult children, said, she loved us all equally. But that meant that sometimes when one of us needed more love, she gave more love to that one. But they understood that that meant equal. It wasn't like, oh, now that one's the favorite. It was that one just needed it. And so she was there for that one in their need. And I thought to myself, wow, I would love to have been in that family. But then I thought to myself, wait a second. We are that family. We're loved like that by Jesus. He loves us all equally. And yet when one of us has a stronger need, he's there for us with that to respond to that stronger need. But it's equal love because he's loving us as we need it. But he's calling us again to live that same love. So, the gospel today could be discipleship of Jesus made simple, not made easy, because love is difficult. But it's a simple thing to do. Just follow this commandment. Love one another as I have loved you. I think back about that family with the mother who loved them all equally but differently depending on their needs. And I thought any one of them could have at so many different times in their life just stopped and taken a deep breath and said, wow, all this in heaven too. Well, you know what? If we're living the love that Jesus calls us to, then any one of us on any given day should be able to do the exact same thing. Because it's not a one-way street. I'm loving and loving and loving and being exhausted because I'm being loved and being filled. And so my candle is being reignited over and over and over. And just as when the Paschal candle comes into the church on Easter and the light is passed throughout the church, that light isn't diminished, it's multiplied. So just as each one of us learns to live that love, God's love is multiplied. The power of his love is multiplied. And so any one of us could stop at any given moment and take a deep breath, breathe in the Spirit, and and say all this and heaven too. Because heaven is the promise that comes from the power of his love that he calls us all to